So how? Go ahead, Tracy.
But with all of us, I think the struggle comes in, especially now that you're raising children, and they're often going to think how we feel that things should go in the man's role. With this new gender identification issue is, and the roles today, they're like, oh, you're old school. That was back then. We're not doing that now. And so I think it's a constant battle with your kids and yourself, how you see their structure should be for their children and their children's children. Do you all see that as an issue sometime? I know I do.
Yeah,
I address it.
Yeah, that's why I want to stay on this topic a little bit, because we have, I mean, you got, like you said, you got your kids to deal with, you have TV to deal with, you have media to deal with, and like you said, it's the push for men to become less of a man is so greater nowadays, I believe. How do we overcome that? How does that look for when we're trying to lead a household, you know? Because I mean, for example, there was, I don't know the name of this person, but it was crazy. I was watching, I think it was YouTube today, and there was, I knew about this incident. So it was a male guy who became a transgender, and he entered into the women's swim team, right?
Swimming, yeah.
And so some people there was a YouTube clip of people like supporting him, like he should do this, he should do that. And not to bring up not talking about the transgender part, but it's more like, when our kids see this stuff, when we see this stuff, it's overwhelming because a lot of these things are occurring. And like you said, Tracy, to teach our kids, and our kids are not saying your kid, but our generation kids is like, oh, we don't have to do that because y'all were the old school, this, that. How can we overcome those things, and how can we gear for that?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I'm trying to do, and I'll be very brief in like 30 seconds, is I'm trying to lead by example. I want to be the best godly example of a godly man as a father I can be, because my goal is I want my daughter to, when she looks for a husband, that say, either she gonna say, I want to get a husband like my dad, or I don't want nothing like him. I want to get a direct opposite. You see my point? Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to set that example so she know what a man should be like, not what the television tell her a man should be like, and it's cute and it's funny, but he don't want to go to work every day. That's an issue with me.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Awareness also, Issa.
Mm-hmm.
How do we deal with it? I believe it's awareness. You know, Tracy said it best, leading that by example, right? But as you're saying that how they're getting hit with YouTube, TV, media, commercials, and they throw in your face, right? But my thing is, and I just really believe that as parents, we avoid conversations and situations until it knocks on our door.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times. So my thing is, man, I try to just have certain conversations. I'm watching certain things. I'm watching your company. And I know, you know, and we've had that they and them conversations. And then also awareness is this: stop thinking they're too young to have a conversation or to deal with these things that we're talking about, that they're going to be exposed to, that they're getting taught to about to the school. And then they have heard all the rhetoric from all these imbalanced people thoughts when they can hear the truth from us. And we don't take time to tell them our perspective a lot. So again, it's getting ahead of it and making them aware. And I just think that's part of adulting. That's part of parenting, you know, and I'll be the first one to tell you, I have said it multiple times in the last 2-3 years. Didn't nobody tell me adulting was going to be this hard. but, you know, And I'm only saying that because of the clan with me. You know what I mean? But I take it. But it's, there's no real manual to this. You know what I'm saying? But I just believe that kind of what Tracy said is like, man, being intentional and having love in your heart. But I feel like, man, if you keep it 100 with these kids, they're going to be so aware. They don't have to also go out here and be weirdos, but they're going to know how to conduct themselves and not fall victim into the peer pressure. And they're going to be leading other kids to the truth. And we're teaching them how to become ambassadors, because they're going to stand for something that might not be as bold as we like, but I've seen it. That they ask, the kids saying that their friends are asking this, and I'm like, oh, you do? They do know you know Jesus. Oh, praise the Lord.
Right. So what do we feel about, moving on, what do we feel about role reversals in today's society, where I guess back in the day, it was the woman the wife stays home, and her home is she take care of the home, and the men bring home the bacon or do the extra stuff. But nowadays it's a lot more where the women kind of go to work and men stay home. How do you feel about that aspect of it?
Well, I'm gonna let Dre handle that, because y'all know how
I feel. Well, it's nothing that says women can't work,
right?
In the Bible, so that's pretty clear. Man is supposed to provide in the ways that he's supposed to provide. So, and women that work, I guess that's part of that process. But what you're dealing with is a spiritual battle. And that's from the beginning. So in the beginning, your desire shall be for your husband and all of that. And if you read through from that point on, those were battles all the time. Okay. So role reversals or whatever, that happened often, and not just today. So, I mean, and even with the situations that Tracy was talking about, it's a spiritual battle. It really is. It is. So it's going to take prayer and divine intervention for us to get a handle on that.
Yeah. Well, Dre, I'm sorry, but I'm not being. I agree with everything you said, because I said the same thing to somebody the other night. And we was having this, but I don't mean to be a party pooper to the last thing you said. We need to get a handle on it. I don't know if we always come to terms with, the closer we get to the return of Christ, the more off the chain it's going to be. Yeah. And I'm not saying we're just going to lay down and die and just take it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't know if there's a handle on this one, because what you just said, Dre, this goes back to the original start of when God came down and put everything in place after the fall, right? And the rule, the part where it says that she's going to want to rule over him. But also, and I think the part that I pulled out the other night to somebody, I was like, and I know what you just said, Dre, also, that it doesn't say a woman can't work. It doesn't. And I'm not saying they're just supposed to be home and have babies. I'm not saying that either. But one detail was, man was to till the ground. That's working. And now when women share that, what are you giving up? You're giving up some of your authority, because she's sharing. And when you got to go to her and say, hey, can you help me with the light bill? Even though, we take care of the majority, maybe, whatever. It is a shared thing, but your job was to till the ground. Hers was a little bit different, right? And so it has gotten muddy ever since the beginning. And I believe that we saw more working women because of greed, keeping up with the Joneses. and women have always been smart. So it's not about, oh, we just found their smartness, because they've had this beautiful brain. And you know, they can do what we can do, definitely mentally, if not better mentally. But I just believe it takes away because
I don't know, Jason. You got to look at the Proverbs 31 woman, and you gotta go through that, because she's everything of what women do here today, as far as business wise, entrepreneurial spirit, that type of deal is right there. It's
no, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that women shouldn't work. That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. I think I mentioned that.
I said that. I'm saying that it doesn't. She understands. If you look at that and you read that, she understands her role. Okay, and it's not a subservient.
But Dre, she wasn't paying she wasn't paying the bills. She was supplementing their personal needs.
She might have been paying the bills.
No. Truthfully, it said that when she makes him go out when he goes to the open square, right, and makes him look good, and then they say she clothes her children.
Yeah.
Like she wasn't going to buy the money that she made and go buy them designer. Nothing wrong with that either. I'm just saying that she was providing for.
She had a maid.
She knew her role, and she was an entrepreneur. She was all of those things.
Yeah, I mean, she traded goods, she traded crops. But what I'm saying is, it wasn't typically the forerunner of the family makeup. She was the backbone. She was the supporter, right? She was his helpmate.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean just sit home and again have babies. That's not what I'm preaching. That's not. But I just think that today it is getting muddier and muddier and muddier. And then so at the end of the day, a man's voice is different. And that's what we're talking about now, weakening the man.
Why is the voice different?